Hi. I just finished my video on my creative audit. Yeah. And I think I'll just record some more in the coming days about where I've been, how I feel going into the end of the year, finishing off 2024, starting 2025, and how I feel about that and my goals. But I wanted to go over this book that I have been reading called Slow Productivity by Cal Newport. I can't remember if it was Daya or Ali Abdal that recommended, or if it was both of them that recommended this book, but I love both of them. I love both of their channels. I love their content. I had just finished reading Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. On a separate note, I have a goal to read 20 books by the end of this year, and one of the books that I had purchased but has just been like on my shelf was actually the Cal Newport book for slow productivity. So I finished Dare to Lead, which I purchased not only to help me at the time while I was in my corporate job working up to get the skills that I thought that I needed to be a sound leader and move into management and leading my own team. Side note, I felt my team wasn't being managed and led correctly, at least on the ground level. There could have been a lot more done, which I found myself taking that role anyway. And so I decided to study up. I started reading Dare to Lead before I was laid off. I had to take a break and started reading it again recently and just finished it. And I had a open slot available. I decided to open up Slow Productivity, and I'm so glad that I did, because I realized a couple of things. I was already doing so much of what Dare to Lead had said to do, building effective teams, being a good manager when it comes to leading, being empathetic, being human in the workplace. I was literally doing this at my old workplace, and people were looking at me like I was crazy because I decided to move slower, because that's just how I've always been. And I started setting boundaries, setting realistic goals and expectations. Started telling people, hey, I have to be out by this time. I can't stay after. And some people understood that. Other people saw it as, oh, she's not a team player. She's not trying to help us out. She doesn't care if we win. She doesn't know how to actually solution and help people. She just knows how to say no. That's somewhat neither here nor there, but also like, and what? And what? Like, ain't nobody got time for that. And that's exactly why I'm happy that I'm no longer there. And I decided to take what I started doing there, continue it as I was being laid off, and now doing it every single day when I decide it's okay for me to show up for my job. When I tell you I show up to work excited, that I'm excited every single time I decide to start work, to actually work, that I leave my work day feeling good about everything that I did. I don't have to go to team meetings in which people are literally stressed out and that's the norm. Miss family or friend events because that's just a part of the job because you want your paycheck. When I no longer have to do that and I leave happier, more fulfilled, that really is the bread and butter. That was the goal, and I reached it through my slow productivity. As I was listening to the book, I found myself taking note. This is literally things that I've already been saying in conversation with anyone that I talk to. I find myself talking about these things, just like how much more efficient and like sustainable they are. I titled this portion, this Notion document, How I Learned to Save Time at Work, but it's literally for anyone. If you work for yourself, if you're a solopreneur, or you work in a corporate setting, or you're literally a student in high school, in college, if you're in middle school and you're a student and you're looking for more ways to be productive with your time and to more efficiently use your time, this is what this video is about. How to save time and use your time more effectively while you're working so you can create the best quality work, because that's one of the main problems that I faced with my previous job, is that I was in a repetitive cycle of overextending myself. And it's not just at my previous job, it's just my previous job had the climax moment, the apex, where everything just like came to a head. I just felt very overwhelmed, anxiety ridden, just very pressured to always be there, like literally carrying work on your phone. I downloaded all the stuff that I needed for work on my phone, and then I had to go through the entire process of taking all of it off after I realized I don't want to be on a train in the UK going to go see my friend that I hadn't seen in a very long time, and I missed them, and feeling all these emotions and taking my time to read this lovely book that I got and just being in the moment, and then my phone buzzing because team messages are coming through, because emails are coming through, because some people that you worked with that weren't always so kind or empathetic were blowing up your phone. Yeah, I decided after that, taking everything off of my phone that had to do with work, and yeah, it is what it is. I still showed up the best way that I could. I just started setting my boundaries then and there about how I was gonna show up, and I didn't prove to be any less competent. I didn't deliver any less quality work. I just improved. Imagine everyone on your team puts aside 1 hour a day for completing small tasks and answering quick questions. Imagine that each post a shared document containing a sign-up sheet for a day's block, including only a limited number of slots. If you want someone on your team to give you his availability for an upcoming client visit, you must find a free slot to record this request. Your team member will then see it and give you an answer during the day's administrative block, freeing him of the burden of having to manage all of these obligations in a single overwhelming pile of unstructured urgency. This is literally one of the problems that I faced at my last job. I was the one to create the solution for it. Doing something very similar to this, Cal mentioned blocks of time that would be used to handle admin tasks like contacting your colleagues or who and who about whatever it may be. In this case, it would be one coworker reaching out to another coworker within that specific time block to go over this upcoming client visit that they are being requested to attend. For us, what we used, me and my team, I helped start this, but eventually each of us started creating these meetings in which we could use the time to speak freely, ask questions, even work together regarding problems that we had, current clients, past clients, ideation sessions. One of my favorite things that I implemented were ideation sessions for my design team. So we would just like brainstorm all of these ideas of how we could improve our organization's standing, improve our own standing, educate ourselves, what we could do to show up better as leaders, as experts in the design field, what we could do to make our names known as designers within the company. I created that session, and that ideation session spawned so many other really great ideas and meetings. I'm so glad my former colleagues were able to create something really awesome off of that. When it comes to this idea of using your time wisely, having people check your schedule and fit in time to talk with you, to see where you're at based on your schedule, that's really important. So there are a couple of things that can be done regarding this topic of using your time more effectively, especially in the workplace. One thing that was mentioned is making more elaborate emails to avoid small talk over an email thread. So back and forth, that back and forth could eventually have you wasting time checking your email when you could be more strategically crafting your emails so that they're easier to read, easier to digest. There is less of a likely chance that there's going to be follow-up questions. Everything should be, for the most part, answered in that first email that you send off. It's taking that extra step to do that could end up saving you so much time and energy in the workday that you could be using for other things, like actually getting this thing that people are asking about done and off your plate and over to them, rather than having their email conversation interrupt your workflow, taking more of your time that you could have been using to work more productively with higher quality. Another great thing that I highly recommend anyone do, if they're not doing it already, is setting time blocks And this is something that has taken me a while to understand and incorporate more readily in my life. But when I started doing it, I immediately started seeing the effects. So setting a time block could be setting your time from 10 to 11 just to go over brainstorming new ideas for this new campaign that you're part of, or taking the time from 2:30 to 3 to have a discussion with your team members on a specific project that you guys are working on together, or any upcoming events that you guys will be attending together and prepping for that. Time blocking is so essential because during these blocks of time, you get to actually focus, get into a state similar to a flow state, and crank out a lot more work than you think would actually get done, because you're setting that time aside to completely focus on your goal and on delivering the specific work. It's this focus that gives you the energy that you need to show up with high quality deliverables, to show up feeling great about the work that you've done, great about the time that you've set aside because it was worth it. Something that I've done within my time blocks, within larger chunks of time, whether it be an hour to 2 hours, I use the Pomodoro method of working for 20 minutes, then taking a break, working for another 20 minutes, then taking a break. So there's a bunch of ways to go about it, but definitely incorporating time blocks into your routine is a game changer and is so effective and helps you be a more efficient worker and show up more emotionally present at work as well. So replacing asynchronous communication with a real-time conversation, the opposite of this could have been an email. Similar to the first topic, it's replacing what could be a very overly done small talk email thread that keeps going back and forth. When you have the people that you need to have in the same room, whether it be a meeting room, like physically in person, or just a meeting room or a chat, it changes the game. So the same amount of work that could have been done in chasing someone over the course of a day or two could have been done at a more condensed level within, let's say, 5 minutes to 45 minutes of working together. Something that I love to do, going off of this example, is having a live design time with my clients at work. Sometimes I would fall into the pattern of delivering something and the client coming back saying, well, can it be like this? What if it looked like that? Can we see it this way? I had to go through these a few times to be able to be like, okay, actually the first time someone would come back with a request or with a tweak, I would be like, let me find some time on our calendar today. Let's go over this in person and we'll be done. And literally saved me so much time. Also helped me build more of a relationship with these people too. I worked remote. I didn't get to see these people, or like I didn't know the human on the other side of the screen, you know? Like I didn't know their personality, so how it was coming across was very like harsh, straight to the point, no human emotion. We're very focused on this deadline. We need to get this done. And whenever I would have these calls with people, it would help them open up as a person, to see me as a person as well. And it would help in us building a relationship with each other, seeing each other as people with families, loved ones, people with similar goals or even similar habits that they do outside of work. It was during these times especially that I was able to see the humanity in people and people were able to see the humanity in me. It's when you have these real life sit-down talks that the best work comes out of it. Using regularly scheduled sessions like the meetings that I mentioned before for specific questions or chats about any and all relevant questions and requests. You can say, I'm always happy to help. Let's chat during our blank call. So if it's with a client, you can be like, let's chat during our one-on-one session. Or if it's with one of the things I had with my team, let's chat about this and that over our next ideation session. In this case, what Cal Newport recommended was to not only have these regularly scheduled meetings or chats, but also to use a shared document to keep track of everything that they want to talk about, and also to scratch out as they hit those milestones. Eventually, all of this saves so much time. The whole thing about doing these things to help you be a more productive person, a more productive worker, more productive leader, is to make things not only simpler, but to also return to a sense of normalcy when it comes to being human in the workplace, having conversations, getting to know someone, these almost salon-esque conversations and meetings, rather than having a surplus of asynchronous pings, Slacks, Teams messages, all these different things come up at you. There's a real difference between actually being there as a human rather than being there as, I hate to say, but puppet in a typically rigid corporate environment. I mean, there's a reason why Pinocchio wanted to be a real boy, right? But anyway, that is the main thing that I wanted to talk about in this video. Using your time wisely, prioritizing your energy when it comes to work, strategizing for the best possible results that you can give out. Show up as the best version of yourself. Set some boundaries to create a more flexible, reliable environment to actually strengthen our relationships as well. Because when I first started our first ever design ideation session, it was a huge difference to when we had our last ideation session. We all knew each other, but we didn't know our capabilities and our strengths, or even the smaller, less important quote-unquote things when it comes to corporate work, what we like to each do on a weekend, or what's happening at Austin city limits, when the next person is going to be flying into town and meeting the other person for drinks. That was only something that we were able to get to once we started having these types of designated meetings to strategize, prioritize, to build these connections that are still with us, even, you know, post layoff, post craziness. And yeah, I'm really excited to keep reading Slow Productivity. This is something that is completely part of me and my work and just like my being. Anyway, that's me. Please feel free to check out the rest of my videos on my channel, and I look forward to creating my next one. If you watch this during the night or evening, I hope you had a wonderful day. And if you're watching this fresh in the morning, I hope you have a beautiful day. I'll see you next time. Peace.